Hello again, and it's time for another project. Nothing too complicated today, just a simple case of cutting out this bone shaped template on here with the words "bad to the bone." Now the way I do this is to simply put on your template on top, place your carbon paper underneath like so, and draw around it. Takes minutes, that way you can use that over and over again on a different project, or if you're going to make 2 or 3 of the same. Now that was printed off with the printer, and I literally just cut it to made it the right size and then made it fit in proper. The actual bone shape, you can Google bone shaped templates. And I like to use this. Now this is baking paper, and all I literally did was to put it over the computer or tablet, and it's awkward, but you get away with it, and literally zoomed it out on the screen to 5.5 inches, 5 inches. I know it would fit on this piece of fencing wood, and literally drawn around it. That way there's no need to print that off, and then I place that on there, put the carbon paper underneath, draw around it, and then put the lettering on afterwards to make it fit, if that makes sense. And there we have it, bad to the bone. Now the idea is to route out the letters, inset lettering on this one, and then we'll literally just get a scroll saw, bandsaw, cut out the shape of the bone, and then we'll start sanding over the edges just to get a bit more shape and a little bit more character. And then we'll pop on some paint. As always for me, the router bits, I'm going to use my little CNC bits. These come in various degrees. I think I've got a 20 in today. They do have a small Dremel size shaft on them, a 3.175mm. So you require what they call a collet, a 6.35mm collet. That's actually just a small tube like that with a couple of slits on it. And that just slots in there like so. That will now fit your 1/4 inch router, no problem. We'll set it to a depth that we want. I normally have a depth gauge like this, just a random piece of wood. Pick out one that we're comfortable with. We don't want to go too deep on this one. You could do outset lettering, but that way you'll be removing all the background on the bone, just so the letters are slightly raised. This fencing wood, I use it a lot, and it is good once you look after it. Get a bit of sanding, see how rough it is at the back. It might just be a bit delicate to have this as outset lettering, so I'm going to play safe and remove the inside of the lettering. Okay, so we've got our CNC bit in, we've got it in the collet. That'll go in the router. We'll set it to a depth, and we'll start going around these letters. If I find out it's coming out really easy, we'll just use that CNC bit and remove everything. If we want to go a bit clever, I always use these end milling bits. They've got the same size shaft on them as a CNC bit. We can literally just pick one out that fits in there, remove that, drop that in there. We'll set it to the same depth, remember, on our piece of wood, and we'll go in afterwards and remove all the insides just to make a nice straighter edges. Okay, let's pop the CNC bit in and we'll start routing this one out. Right, we've gone round with our CNC bits. To be honest, with this one, because the lettering is so small, you could have removed it all with the CNC bit. If you look at the bone bit there, look, that was all removed with the CNC bit. We left the 8s there deliberately just to show you how these end bits, same with the TO there and the letter D on there. So we've left those filled in just so you can see, but literally that's all come out with the CNC bit. Okay, like I say, let's try these end milling bits. I use them all the time, big projects or small ones. They actually work brilliantly. They do come in a pack of 10s and they vary in sizes. Obviously we don't want a big chunky thing like that, we're just not going to fit it into the lettering. So we've gone for one that fits, like so. We know it fits in there. The one's already cleared out. So it's just a case, should I say, of removing the CNC bit. We'll get a lot more projects out of that one. Sliding in the end milling bit up to that little stopper there, like so. Popping that in the router, and we'll literally set it to the depth of one of these letters that we've already removed out, or you could use the same setting. I actually made a little gauge there on the side as my little setting at the end. The good thing about these cutout ones, you have all this wastage to use, so you can do a few sample router depths on there and pick which one you're happy. Okay, we'll throw this milling bit in just to show you how it works. They pop out really nice with that one. Right, you can see from that, we've made it all the way around. We haven't lost anything, that's always a good sign. Now, all of this could have been done with the CNC bit. I've just put the end milling bits on just to show you how they work. And I use them on all my projects. I've certainly got no issues with them. And they're nice and cheap to purchase. Now, we're going to cut this out with a scroll saw first, just before we start sanding it down and giving a bit of general shape to the edges. We'll come in here with a sanding burr at either end, just make it look a bit more like a bone. Now I want to cut this out on a scroll saw. I'll just show you quickly the couple of blades you will get. Your basic ones are your pin blades. They literally have a little pin at either end and they hook onto your more basic, cheaper saws. And that's it. Clip on, take up the tension, you're good to go. They're fine for bigger projects, maybe lettering wise, but if you've got something quite small like this, you have to drill what they call a pilot hole, and you might just struggle to get that in, so they've come out with a pinless blade, and there's obviously no pins on that one. And that fits into your fancier saws, your more expensive ones, with a clamp at top and bottom, and they will fit inside smaller projects, which have drilled a pilot hole. I personally prefer to use a spiral blade. Unfortunately, with my scroll saw, I have to use these adapter clamps. And they just clip at top and the bottom. Pinless blades these, you don't get pin spiral blades. The good thing about spiral blades is they will cut in any direction. Whereas the pin blade and a pinless blade, you have the T facing for you, in front of you, pointing down. So you want it rough on the way down and smooth on the way up. That way on, should I say. So smooth on the way down. Rough on the way up, you know you got your blade in the right way, but they will only point towards you. So when we come to cut this one out, if you can imagine it on a saw, we'd have to start off there, and then we would have to turn that wood, and turn it, and then turn it, and then try and follow it down. And sometimes this bit's going to get in the way, or if you get round to the back area, you're going to catch on the back of your saw. The good thing about the spiral blades, we can just go left to right, up and down. So we can start off here, and if you just go like that, and keep pushing it towards the right, bring it down and just go all the way around like that. Basically no turning that wood nearly. So, but they're not for everybody, spiral blades. I just really like them now, I won't use anything else. Okay, let's pop this on the scroll saw with our spiral blade. we'll cut this out, and then we'll start cleaning it up with our Dremel on the flexi shaft. It's one of these flexi cables, and we'll start using these cheap engraving bits. They're for glass, plastic or whatever. They work fine on wood. Like I say, we'll just get in there, give it a general tidy up, and we're heading towards the finishing line on this one before the paint goes on. Right, that's it. We've cut all the way around with our spiral blade. I've not took this out yet, just to show you. Some say those spirals are quite dusty, and they're not for everybody. They do take some mastering, but once you get used to them, I won't use anything else. Remember, this is just fencing wood, so what you see is what you get. If I just show you, get as near as I can with this phone of mine, that's nice and smooth as that. People say you get a rough edge of those spiral blades, but I can't say I've had any issues with them, to be honest. And that's it. There's no, I've not brushed it or anything. There's no dust there, look. It's all down here on the table. So that's it cut out, no problem. We'll do away with that one. You could actually seal that back up, or you could have drilled a pilot hole in there, and you could have filled that in with resin, put some stuff in there, whatever you fancy, and you've got yourself another project. But this is ours for today. Okay, general tidy up now with our Dremel. Like I said before, just to tidy it up, and then we'll get a mouse sander out, some sanding drums on the end of this, and we'll start shaping this down and getting it somewhere near. We'll do that next. Right, that's enough sanding down for me. We get the general idea what we're going for. Now, bone wise, you could leave this just as it is, put a bit of linseed oil on. I'm going to put a bit of red in the lettering, just paint it touch red. Just in case of simply just brushing it in. Doesn't have to be too perfect, so we're going to sand over this afterwards, just make that lettering a little bit more sharp. I'm going to go for a little bit of white on here, just paint it touch white again. But I'm going to really try and water that down to make it more like a white stain than actually a white paint. And we'll see what it looks like afterwards. Okay, we'll throw the red in first. Right, you can see from that lettering's gone really nice, no problems with that. Didn't put any wood sealer on here or anything. We've got no bleed as such, nothing drastic. So that's entirely up to you if you want to use it or not. Now, slight change of plan. Originally we were going to go for the white, remember? But I'm quite liking the graining on here. So we're going to go for a dinosaur kind of bone, if you know what I mean. So it's not going to be as white as. So I'm just going to give it a nice coating with my boiled linseed oil. And once it's dry, we'll spray some varnish on if we're happy with the result. If it's not, we can always paint it later. But for now, just a simple case of throwing that linseed on like so. Just to darken it all down. Get it down the sides here. And it doesn't matter if you go over the paintwork, over the lettering, it'll all dry off eventually. like so. You can see from that what we're going for. And we'll wait for it to dry. It will dry slightly lighter, won't be as dark as this. And if we're happy with that, we're getting towards the finishing line. Okay, I'll finish this off and then come back once we've sprayed our finish on. Right, that's it. This little project is finished. Now, normally on all my videos and previous projects, I always like to spray on 2 or 3 coats of our crystal clear. I struggled to find that today in the shops. So I took a chance. I went for this yacht varnish, which is a lot cheaper. That's a 250ml can. Costs next to nothing really. That's 400ml. For what I paid for that, I can get 1,000+ ml of that. So 5 containers of that to 1 of that, and still have change left. So this could be my new best friend in the future. Okay, and you can see from that it sprays on really nice. Gives you a lovely shine, lovely finish on that. So yes, it's nice to have the options, but I'm certainly going to stick with that one for the price and stuff. Okay, there we have it. One little routed out, bad to the bone. I'm glad I never went with the white paint. I am preferring this browner look, which is more dinosaurish, shall we call it. It's an old bone, fossilised bone, remember. There we go. Anyways, so it's 5 inches by 13 inch, routed out, bad to the bone sign, plaque on old fencing wood. Thank you very much for watching.